And so we have an American president who has detached our liberal global values from the world. Zero sum, might makes right, fetishizes the Erdogans and the Putins and the dictators, and that makes the world makes the world a more dangerous place. And we should not, as we think about the president coming into the chamber, 49% approval level, 63% approval of how he's handling the economy, acquitted in the United States Senate. He walks in there after this debacle in Iowa like a colossus on the American political stage, a profoundly consequential president who has redefined the office and has rewritten the rule book.
How many cheap shots will he take? Will he take a cheap shot at the, well, it's not a cheap shot, maybe it's good politics, against the Democrats for screwing up in Iowa?
I think the president's staff would probably prefer that he stay above it, and I think part of him actually knows he ought to stay above it, but would he take a few, perhaps what he would see as teasing shots? Yeah, I think that's possible. I'm wondering, so there's the Iowa question. I'm also wondering if he is going to refer to what has been happening in the Congress of the United States for the past 2 months.
Well, the impeachment, will he bring that up, Jay?
I'm going to bet it's not loaded in the teleprompter. Put it that way.
Well, that doesn't answer anything. Anyway,
Right.
Republicans...
He has a habit of going off script, right?
I think he's going to punch in the gut. Anyway, Susan Collins today announced that she will vote to acquit the president, telling CBS News that she thinks the president has learned his lesson.
Are you confident that the president won't seek foreign assistance again?
I believe that the president has learned from this case.
What do you believe the president has learned?
The president has been impeached. That's a pretty big lesson.
But the president says he did nothing wrong. Why do you think he learned something?
He was impeached, and there has been criticism by both Republican and Democratic senators of his call. I believe that he will be much more cautious in the future.
Well, Senator Collins' remarks echo that of other Republican senators who say Trump has been chastened.
If a call like that gets you an impeachment, I would think you would think twice before he did it again. Hopefully, he'll look at this and say, okay, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done it that way.
I think that he knows now that if he is trying to do certain things, whether it's ferreting out corruption there, in Afghanistan, whatever it is, he needs to go through the proper channels.
The problem with that, Steve, and everybody here, is we know what he did after he beat the rap with the Mueller report. The very next day at 9 o'clock in the morning, he called up President Zelensky and tried to bully him into doing his dirty work right away, half a day later.
It's astonishing statements. When I see Senator Collins do that, I wish he was my mom when I was a teenager. Right? I mean,
that lenient.
It's just astonishing. No, it's. I think the one thing is clear. He doesn't seem to be very introspective. Doesn't seem to be very focused on learning the lessons, how to act the proper way, you know, to meet the demands of the dignity of the office. And you know, I think he's going to be emboldened, and I think the lesson here is I can do whatever I want, because what's essentially been eradicated in this process is the idea of misconduct, right? If this isn't misconduct, what conceivably is?
Yeah. Why doesn't Trump just say, I've done the bad stuff, I've given them a lot of punches below the belt, and now it's time to act like a president for a couple months? Why does he do that?
Because he can't.
Been waiting for that for 4 years.
Because it is not in his nature. Can I throw out the idea with the Republican senators? I think the stand they are taking on impeachment is certainly defensible. We have an election coming in 9 months. We understand that logic. You can agree or disagree. They are making a mistake on censure. Censure is an important thing. We haven't censured a president in 200 years. They could register, if they are serious that he did things wrong, they could register their disapproval.
What would that matter to? Who would that matter to?
Well, it won't matter to Trump, but I think it would matter to the public record. I think it would matter to history. I just think it would be a benefit on its own, and it would have its own consistent logic with the increasing Republican position that he is guilty, but it doesn't rise to the level.
I think Tonight, a man will stand in the well of the U.S. House of Representatives and tell us our country has returned to greatness. He will cite numbers attached to dollar signs, and brag. What he will not cite is his own moral bankruptcy. But just as he can count the credits, we can count the deficits. In honesty, what price do we pay for a president whose word the world knows is worthless? Ask those who gave up their savings to attend something called Trump University. In decency, what do we tell our children of a man who breaks every rule we try to teach them, who makes fun of people's appearances, who mocks the handicapped? In disloyalty, what has it cost this country to have a leader who abuses our allies, who sidles up to the world's worst tyrants, who shows every sign of wanting to join them? Tonight, the country enters the fourth quarter of the Trump reign. He will tell us why we should love him. He will promise us the world if we only bow down and worship him. If this sounds familiar, it's happened before. You may have read about it before, probably in church. It's the classic deal with the devil. And that's hardball for now. Thanks for being with us. MSNBC's coverage of the State of the Union address and the Democratic response is next.